Welcome to the 2023 virtual online seminar, Creating a Legacy Through Entrepreneurship, Business Succession Planning Basics. Presented to you, excuse me, that wasn't supposed to happen. Presented to you by LearnBiz co-host Sandy B and yours truly, Lisa K, here with you. And we're so excited to be here with you for 1 hour. We're broadcasting live on 3 platforms: YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So, welcome to anyone who's joining us. We will be talking about business succession planning, planning for your business.
All right. And this program is brought to you by LearnBiz LLC, where we will help you learn, build, and grow your business. Our goal is to make sure that we provide quality programming so that you can learn all the fundamentals in business, give you all the ideas that you need to sustain your practice and come up with creative ways for you to scale and grow, as well as making sure that we lay a proper foundation, right? Everything is about the roots and how you set that up. So it's very important that we highlight the importance of entrepreneurship in the grand scheme of our lives and highlight the mindset, the strategies, the procedures, the different documentation that you're going to need in order to be a successful entrepreneur, not just any entrepreneur. Now, please be sure that you subscribe to our channel here. This is LearnBiz The Podcast, brought to you by LearnBiz LLC, and your co-hosts, Sandy B, myself, and Lisa K. We're always trying to make sure that you have some different levels to this. So I want to make sure that you are aware of our LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, which is now available on Amazon. Allows you to put a daily touch into your business. Lisa and I have been journaling for quite some time now, and we encourage you to join us in this journaling process as we have formed a business journaling group. And our next meetup is going to be on March 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a private group, a private link, which will be broadcast live on YouTube. So you have to contact us in order to get the link. There's a sign up that's going to be in the description of this video. But please don't hesitate. Grab your copy of the LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, now available on Amazon, and definitely take advantage of our business journaling group, which is coming up with a new session next month.
Absolutely. So thank you all for those who have already supported us by purchasing your own business journal. And so we're encouraging others to get on board. And like Sandy said, we have another private journaling group March 27th.
All right, so let's get ourselves here on the screen to have the conversation with you, because I know sometimes you all want to see our faces as we're talking about these important topics in business. So here we are. We are ready to get started with this interesting collection of information, and we hope that you're ready. So if you have your notepad, please get it ready. If you have any questions before we really dive into the program, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. And please, again, remember, we are live here on YouTube. We're broadcasting also on Facebook and on LinkedIn. So drop your comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And shout out to Rigo Berto, who is tuning in right now. He's always here to support us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, Rigo.
Absolutely.
So let's get into the program. We talked about our podcast, which is right here on YouTube, LearnBiz The Podcast. We broadcast live on Tuesday mornings at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Lisa.
Thank you, Sandy. I am Lisa K. Crawford. I am a real estate broker associate here in Florida at United Realty Group. And I'm also a probate attorney by profession. If I could ever be of assistance to you in either one of my practice areas, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can call me directly. My number is listed right there. And also, I, of course, am the proud co-owner of LearnBiz LLC, and glad to be a part of this programming tonight to bring to you. Don't forget to check out my website, lisakcrawford.com, for probate information, and more information about me. And if you're interested in real estate, feel free to go to lisacrawfordrealty.com. Thank you.
All right. And I'm the other half of LearnBiz LLC and LearnBiz The Podcast. I'm Sandy Boystron. I'm an estate planning attorney, and I'm also the co-author of Civility Wins, Find Your Peace While Taming the Beast, which is now available on Amazon. And tonight, we have a fantastic program for you. We're going to be talking about creating a legacy through entrepreneurship, business succession planning basics. And we're going to go right into it. But we want to make sure, again, you can follow us in our other places. We are on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at B is for BIZ. Always looking forward to you sharing with us. All right.
And don't forget, we are here every Tuesday morning for LearnBiz the Podcast. And Rigoberto Morales is one of our supporters, and we thank him for showing up there to support us as well. But you can join us too on Tuesday morning, 7:45 a.m. right here on YouTube. And we broadcast to Facebook and LinkedIn at the same time. So we'd love to see you there. All right. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for the prompt, Sandy. We would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. B is for Biz. That's where you can find us at on Instagram and Facebook, and LearnBiz the Podcast. Just search that out on YouTube, and please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
I had somebody screaming at the top of their lungs just now, so I had to take a pause. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the program. We're going to talk about some foundational things that you need to be on notice about before we get into talking about business succession planning basics. So the first thing on our agenda is we want to talk about registering your business, right? Yeah. Everybody knows that they need to have some kind of registration if they want to do business at a certain level, right? You got to get some of these basic business registration documents into play. And we oftentimes will see that people will start an LLC. And Lisa, I think you mentioned like a statistic that you heard earlier about LLCs.
Yes, in the state of Florida, more than 80% of all new businesses form as LLCs. Limited liability companies.
So that means most of us are going to start some kind of entity that's going to be an LLC. But the key to understand here is it doesn't stop here.
Right.
But most entrepreneurs stop here. Like they start the business, they do the registration. It's quick, it's easy. They go and they get their EIN number. They may or may not open a bank account, and then they're done. There is nothing else done. They just running a business. That's it. Now,
there's a lot more to that. There's a lot more to it.
It's way more to that. And one of the keys that I wanted to note is that when you go on to SunBiz here in Florida, or whatever your division of corporations or your state organization that handles the registration of businesses, when you read the information that is attached to you submitting your registration for your business, one of the key things that it says, and I'm going to read this little statement from the Florida Articles of Organization. So if you have an LLC, it's Articles of Organization. If you have a company, it's called Articles of Incorporation.
Yes.
But it says the following: note, this form for filing Articles of Organization is basic. Each limited liability company is a separate entity and as such has specific goals, needs, and requirements. Additionally, the tax consequences arising from the structure of a limited liability company can be significant. So the Division of Corporations recommends that all documents be reviewed by your legal counsel. The division is a filing agency and as such does not render any legal, accounting, or tax advice. The professional advice of your legal counsel to ascertain exact compliance with all statutory requirements is strongly recommended. Translation: you are literally just filing paperwork with our office. We have nothing to do with your business structure. And if you do not consult with somebody to really tell you if you are setting up the proper structure, that's on you. And
exactly.
and I'm sorry to add one more thing. And it's also giving you a key to understand that an LLC is not a tax designation. So there are different things that you can do with an LLC tax-wise. Some people are S corps or C corps or whatever. So LLC does not tell you automatically what your tax designation is. Lisa and I have LearnBiz LLC. We are a partnership technically under the tax part.
Yeah.
But we're an LLC, right? But
yeah.
we are taxed as a partnership because there are two of us. So you have to be mindful of this. And I'm going to stop being on my soapbox and let you get in a word edgewise, Lisa, because I was getting a little passionate.
I am so glad that you took the time to explain that. Like, that is the fine print on sunbiz.org that people just don't take the time to read, that
Right.
They're letting you know we're just the filing agency, people. We're going to take your money, and if you file it incorrectly or you file it wrong and pay for it, that's on you. There ain't no refunds.
Ain't no more green beans.
Ain't no more green beans. So yes, you have to know what you're doing. And the best way to really make sure that you understand what you think you're doing is to consult with legal counsel.
Absolutely. So again, it doesn't stop here. You don't just register your business and then it's the end. And I know that most entrepreneurs do this, but we want you to be a different type of entrepreneur and be ready for the other aspects of business. So let's go to this next part here. And I'm turning this to you, Lisa.
Operating documents. Now, we call this the Bible of your business. So if you're an LLC, which we've been referring to, you're going to write an operating agreement, and we'll get more into that. If you are a corporation, if you're incorporated, then you're going to write corporate bylaws. These are the internal documents of your business organization. And they spell out things like when something happens, if A happens, then B should happen. Or it may even talk about if someone passes away, how the business is to be handled. There's a number of things. You guys heard of things like corporate takeovers in business. Businesses write procedures that if some other business comes and approaches them to take them over, how they will respond, different things like that. So that document is very important to the daily operations of your business, and it can cover major things that happen occasionally. You can write that so you have a plan for everything.
Absolutely. So the Bible of your business, if you're an LLC, you got an operating agreement. If you're in corporation, you have a corporate bylaws. Guys, we got to get this stuff together. We got to make sure. All right, let's look at.
Well, Sandy, how many businesses do you think actually go that far to form an operating agreement once they go and register on Sunbiz as an LLC?
I would say the time that people really do this is after something has gone wrong. I don't think most people do this at the time, unless maybe they've hired somebody to do the whole process. So they're doing, they're getting everything organized. They're doing the operating documents. They're doing business plan. Maybe if they pay someone to do all levels, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, let's talk about briefly operating procedures, right? Standard operating procedures. This is the play-by-play of your business. These are the things that dictate what happens from the first interaction with a customer to the termination of services with a customer. It's almost like if you had a roadmap and you gave someone this roadmap and said, run my business, that's what your operating procedures are. And you have to have some standard operating procedures so that anybody can basically pick up this process and run with it. So
exactly.
If you don't have these things in place, it's important for you to start to look at your business and say, what do I do when someone calls me to purchase a product or service? What are the steps? How can I iron them out so that I could literally say to someone else, hey, do these steps and follow these things and complete this process? That's what this is, the play-by-play of your business.
I love the term play-by-play of the business. And like you said, it is indeed a roadmap. It can include things like, what is your refund policy? So all of your employees need to understand your refund policy. You don't want one employee to say, we give no refunds, and then the next employee to say, oh yeah, we give refunds every day without receipts. So you have to have some standard procedure. So not only your employees, but guess what? Customers have expectations too. And
Right.
when they understand how your business runs, that's better for you. Because the customers can tell other people, oh no, they don't take anything back after 30 days. After 30 days, it's a wrap. So I'm just saying, just giving some basic examples, but even customers should understand how your business operates.
And I'm going to take a little pause here because I want to make sure that, we talk a little bit about this program just briefly. So tonight we're talking creating a legacy through entrepreneurship. This focus tonight is business succession planning basics. We're here broadcasting live on YouTube. We're also broadcasting on Facebook and LinkedIn. We ask you to please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you are connected with us on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok at B is for Biz. And don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe on this video if you're here on YouTube, or just, share the video if you're on some of the other platforms. But just wanted to chime in with that and make sure that we're connected on that part.
Thank you, Sandy.
All right. So we've talked about the operating procedures. We've talked about, just the basics in terms of you having operating documents. We've talked about your state registration. But now we got to take it to another place, right? Because, those are the foundational things that you need before you get to these next two things that we're going to talk about. One of them is going to be the business plan. And then the major piece of tonight's conversation is going to be on business succession planning. But what are your thoughts, Lisa, in terms of giving some advice to entrepreneurs about getting these foundational things done before we even get to the planning stuff?
Oh my, if you start with a proper foundation, you're building your business on strength, on something that's strong, that's not going to just crumble and fall apart because you haven't thought it all the way through. So that business plan is, everyone who advises anyone in business will tell you that all businesses need to start with a business plan. Right. And it includes many different components. But Sandy, I just think a lot of us probably who didn't do it right, probably wish we had done it correctly. And if we haven't done it correctly, guess what? Everyone still has an opportunity, if you're still in business, to go back in and write a business plan. It's very important, I think.
And I also want to add that, a lot of times we're afraid to kind of check in with folks who are doing the things that we want to do, looking for mentors, looking for people to include in our circle, creating a support system in business, because entrepreneurship is very much about a lot of factors that don't have anything to do with the business itself, right?
That's true. Yeah.
It's you preparing yourself mentally. It's you preparing all of the foundational information that you need to know. It's you educating yourself. And one thing I will say about our podcast, about our entrepreneur journal, about our business journaling group, all of these are avenues for you to learn more, to educate yourself. Yes. Our key thing is learning, building, and growing every single time, every moment in your business. And I want to do a little plug here and remind you that we have interviewed, I can't even count at this point, a whole host of entrepreneurs. And Lisa, give us some categories. Like, what are some of the different people?
We've talked to people in real estate, in the trucking business, people who make jewelry. We've talked to skincare folks who make creams and lotions to take care of your skin and make it beautiful. We've talked to insurance agents. We've talked to, did we mention accountants? We've talked to folks in accountants, yes.
Lawyers, corporate attorneys.
Oh my God. We've had people in the nonprofit arena. Yes. We've talked to people in nonprofits. So we've talked to a lot of different entrepreneurs, and we'll continue to do so. Yes. As a matter of fact, you remember Genesis Jewelry?
Yes.
Sandy? I saw her at an event recently, and she said hello to LearnBiz. She remembers being on our show, and she's out there still doing her entrepreneur work in making jewelry.
Yes, we need to get her on here, and we have to have a conversation with her about a few more things. So But guys, you name it, we've probably had it on this show. Marketing, public relations, branding, folks who deal with technology, lawyers in different categories. We had a private chef on here, kitchen killer. I always love the food.
That was fun.
I mean, wines, choir organic wines. We've
Yeah.
had the folks from Dunn's Josephine Hotel here in Miami and Overtown. There are a ton of different resources available to you here on LearnBiz the podcast. Go back and check out our videos, check out our interviews. We've had tons of conversations as well on a lot of important topics. So I just wanted to make sure that we plug that, because part of why we're here doing this program is to continue that education piece and narrow down the topic of conversation a little bit.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We have done a lot. We've really done a lot in terms of, just connecting with entrepreneurs and trying to fill that void.
Yes. So taking it back to our creating a legacy through entrepreneurship, we're talking business succession planning basics. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit and now get into the planning. And there's two categories of planning that we're going to talk about tonight. The first is the business plan. This is something that we've all heard about at some point in time. This is something that many of us don't really understand the purpose of it. Many of us don't really understand how to put one together. We've maybe heard about it in passing, but it hasn't been really something that was foundationally something understood by us, right? So the business plan is one part. And then we're going to get into the business succession plan. Two different things, two different purposes. Let's start with business plan. Lisa, I'll turn it to you.
Okay, so the business plan is that foundational piece that we say you should start your business with. When you sit down and think about what type of business you're starting, you need to think about it. What's the purpose of this business? Who are you trying to serve? Where are your customers? Where are you going to find them? What is your mantra for your business? Just that thing that saying that stands for what your business is. Some people have a tagline.
Right.
How do you brand your business? How do you market your business? How are you going to get your product or services out there? All of these things you can actually take the time to sit down and write out and think through, because why? It's just a plan. And of course, it should be tangible, reasonable, achievable, something doable. But once you put that on paper, then you can take that and you can talk to people who invest in other people's businesses and maybe find investors from them just reading your business plan. One of the things I really love about a business plan is that if you do it right, there should be a financial component to that plan that talks about a cash flow analysis. How much money it's going to take you to run your business over 1 to 2 years.
Right.
And that's reflective in your business plan. And people look at your numbers and see what the investment is. And hey, you never know. You may find someone who's willing to invest in your business just because you organize it so beautifully on paper in a business plan.
Absolutely. And as the little catchphrase says here, it's all in the planning. Your business plan sets up the foundation. There are a lot of different sections of a business plan that you'll tend to highlight. Sometimes you will incorporate information about who your team is, and you'll break down the different roles that those folks have, as well as, the special skills and training that they have. Sometimes you'll include a comprehensive marketing plan as part of your business plan, or you might have it separately. But your business plan really kind of lays out the foundation of all of the things that you're trying to accomplish. And it doesn't just look at what's happening with your business now, because you could create a business plan before you really even get your operation going. It's about you setting up your picture. And earlier today, when we were broadcasting live on our podcast, we were talking about SMART goals.
Yes.
And I'm hoping Lisa remembers what each one was, because I can't remember all of them. But we were talking about SMART goals. And part of the thing with SMART goals is making sure that you can finally define what it is that you are trying to accomplish, and using some kind of measures so that you can calculate. Like if I say I want to make more money, I need to decide how much more I want to make. And I need to decide that based upon what I've already made, or maybe what people in this industry make, or maybe a sampling of what I've, seen in the industry or some research that I've done. But you want to be able to have things that you can compare to that are going to be realistic, because making more money, all of us can make more money. The question is how? What are you putting into place to do so? And what are the specific things that you are trying to reach? Because more money means nothing without a number attached, right? 20% more than I made last year. An average amount according to the industry. I want to make $100,000 more. I want to make 20,000 this year and 50,000 next year. Like, we have to get some numbers attached to it. But we also have to give ourselves some timetables that are realistic, right?
That is so true.
I may not make 100,000 just sitting here today, but I might be able to make 10,000. Maybe today, maybe in a week, maybe in 3 weeks, maybe in a month. Those things could be realistic depending on the type of thing that you're selling, whether it's a product or a service, depending on the demand for what you're selling. And also sometimes depending on popularity, right? Are you somebody that has a population of people that are looking for what you are selling, whether it be product or service?
That's true. And some people start businesses at the right time when whatever market they're in, the market is so hot and they come in trailblazing. And that's the beautiful thing about an entrepreneur. They know when to get in. And if you're really smart, you know when to get out too, if that's the case.
Let me tell you, you absolutely know. But the other thing about business planning is, the strategy, knowing when to kind of shift gears to do different things.
What is that?
I don't know. That's something on your, sounds like an alarm. So that's like a little break right there for me to say, please don't forget to cop a copy of your LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, now available on Amazon. Please don't hesitate to get your copy. And also remember that we have a business journaling group that is currently happening, and you can join us for the next session on March 27th, which is a Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also just want to remind you that tonight we are talking about creating a legacy through entrepreneurship, business succession planning basics. So guys, I think Lisa is having something going on here, so we're going to see her in just a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and get us back to this screen here. And what we're talking about here is the business plan. And we just talked about some basics in terms of how it is the foundation. It's the framework of your business. Everything is about the plan that you've set up for your business. And it's important for you to know that the business plan goes beyond, just laying out your ideas. It actually may involve you doing a bit of research into the industry that you are going into, because with a business plan, you have to be able to identify some comparisons between your business and the industry that you're in, and be able to create some projections financially, to create some projections when it comes to your marketing, create some projections when it comes to the potential growth of your business and your ability to sustain a business in this industry. So it's important for you to know that there are so many different factors of putting together a business plan. There's so many different ways for you to organize the information in a business plan. And it's not too early to create a business plan if you're just getting started, because it really can help you organize your ideas about who your target audience is going to be, what types of things that you plan on getting into over the years, what your ultimate goal or mission is in creating this business. And it's just really a great foundation that allows you to set up everything that you are thinking about in your business and all of the things that you are hoping to do down the line. So it's kind of like a now and in the future. It's kind of like a what I'm currently doing versus what I predict I will do. It gives you a lot of different things that you can look to. And that's why I really love business planning as an idea, but also as a practice. You should constantly be building that foundation. So as we're transitioning into our main topic for tonight, just want to remind you that this program is brought to you by LearnBiz LLC, where we help you learn, build, and grow a sustainable and scalable business. And I want to remind you also that you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at B is for BIZ. And we tend to share some little tidbits from the podcast. We share some tidbits from the, entrepreneur world and all of the things that are going on in business. So I hope that you find some of the resources and materials helpful here. But again, tonight we're talking creating a legacy through entrepreneurship, business succession planning basics. We hope that you are enjoying the programming so far. So let me go ahead and take a moment because I see that Lisa is missing in action for just a moment. So I'm going to try to continue a bit through the program. And we're going to first start foundationally talking about what it means to be creating a business succession plan, because it's not, sometimes it may not be what you think it is, and you may need a little bit more information. So I'm going to kind of go through some basics with you right now. So the first thing is to understand that when we're talking about business succession, or better yet, succession in general, if we're talking about succession planning in general, the first thing to understand is succession planning is talking about your strategies that you're using in terms of you making decisions about how you're passing down your business, whether it be passing it down to employees or a group of employees, whether it be passing it down to family, maybe passing it down to an organization like a nonprofit or something else. But it's about you transferring your interest, your ownership. It's about you transferring the legacy of that business onto either someone else or some other entity. And the most important thing to think about when we're talking about succession planning is you're trying to make sure that the business is going to continue to operate. And this is operation without any interruption, right? You want it to operate smoothly. You want it to be able to proceed just as it always has. Even if people move on to new opportunities, people retire, people pass away, people fall ill and maybe are not able to maintain the business, you want to make sure that you can keep the business going. And that is the ultimate goal of succession planning. It's to make sure that you have some things in place to address issues that are naturally going to happen, right? Naturally, people get sick. Naturally, people take advantage of other business opportunities or, take jobs, or they might retire or pass away, etc. Now, a major thing to consider as we're having this conversation about business succession is that this is the estate planning for your business. And I see Lisa is back, so I'm going to kind of see if we can tap in with her. Hey, Lisa.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fully.
Oh my God. I do not know what happened to my computer. So let me just apologize, everybody. So I'm on my phone now. And I see that you've moved on talking about business succession planning.
Yes.
And as it states right here, your business can survive without you. The question is, have you set your business up to do exactly that? That
Absolutely.
is the question. And there are a number of different ways. Sandy, I'm sure you've already started talking about some of the different ways people can begin to set their businesses up to survive them.
We've literally just started. I was trying to kind of stall a little bit so I can make sure you're back on. Okay, so we literally just started this conversation about business succession, and I'm just going to repeat one thing about this topic, which is, talking about the word succession planning. We're basically setting up the business to be transitioned in some way, but we're trying to create a transition without interruption. We want things to run smoothly and pass smoothly to either the next person, the next group, the next person in charge. And then we want to make sure that we have something in place if we have to decide about transitioning business from ourselves to someone else, whether we want to transition to an employee, maybe, our top employee might want to take over the business. Maybe we might have children that want to take over the business. Maybe we want the business to be bought out by a larger organization or something like that. So there's so many different things that succession planning involves. It's really up to you what that looks like, right?
Exactly.
And one of the things, I know we probably will need to get some other professionals in here, like life insurance agents. But one of the other things that people do, they use life insurance to do business succession planning. So in a partnership, for instance, each partner might buy insurance, and the beneficiary is their business, such that if something happens to one of the partners, their part of the bills can continue to be paid, or, the business might set up some type of agreement whereby the spouse of the deceased partner would receive a certain payout, or, certain amount of funds every year. So, I mean, there are a number of different things. And like Sandy said, stock options can be created for employees who've been loyal to the business. And some agreements, succession planning, some people give employees ownership interest in their business, stock shares
Right.
in that business, to encourage them to continue to stay in and continue to make that business thrive and continue after the current owner is deceased. So these are conversations that you have to have with your attorney. It sometimes takes a team. You have to talk with your financial people. You have to talk with your attorney. By financial people, your accountant, of course, and pull these type of plans together so that they work for you.
Absolutely. And I think something important that you just said is there's a lot of different resources. So, this business succession planning doesn't happen in isolation. You
Mm-hmm.
probably are going to have your financial advisor if you have one involved. You probably are going to have your accountant involved if you have one. You may have your lawyer involved. You may have other people who are interested in this situation involved, because you want those people that will kind of continue the torch of your business to be aware of what your intentions are and what it is that you want. But then you also, your individual estate planning will be involved in this conversation as well, because when you are setting up your personal estate plan, you have to consider your business in the equation and vice versa. So you got to consider all of the different factors, how life insurance plays into this, how your monies that are attached to the business play into it, the inventory of your business, the people, the manpower, the working capital of your business, the human resources of your business, the technology of your business. All of these things need to be considered. And I'm going to say one thing about, the considerations. We have to ask ourselves, when we're looking at our business, the business as an entity separate from you is one thing to think about, right? You are an individual. Your business is almost like an individual as well. It's a separate thing from you. But then you also have to look at the business is you, and you may be passing on the business to either, your family, or, maybe close friends, or your partners in business. So you have to have some consideration for all of these things as you kind of set up your plan, because your plan is going to have multiple layers, right? It's not just one thing. It's setting up a variety of things so that your business can survive without you, right? That's the key. So let's talk a little bit about that, Lisa, the considerations. Let's first talk about the business as an entity separate from you. What are some things that you think entrepreneurs should consider when you're looking at the business as its own thing versus us as individuals?
Well, I mean, of course, you have to, of course, look at how that business is organized, how it's set up. You can't ignore that factor, because obviously the type of rules that you write and procedures that you apply will be based on the way the business is set up. But once you get that framework set up, like I said, then you use those documents such as an operating agreement or bylaws if you're a corporation, to begin to write out some of the things that, if things happen in the business, how they should be handled. Again, you want to put these things on paper so everybody knows how to follow them. And so that's what I would just basically add. Those basic documents they're tailor made. So
Right.
it's not like one of those agreements is going to fit 10 different businesses.
Right.
So you're going to talk about what your specific needs are. and you're going to use someone like Sandy and I to help you draft those operating agreements. If you need that type of help, we can assist you with at least filing some of those documents online and preparing some of your basic documents. Those are the things that we can assist you with if you're not inclined to do it yourself. But you begin to talk about what you want, and you allow an attorney to begin to put together the type of documents. It could be a trust. You might want to put your business in a trust and have a trust manage everything. But again, what you want is the starting point. What you want to see, what you want to leave, how you want things to be handled is the starting point for what your legal counsel will begin to do for you.
Absolutely. And, it's always interesting when you talk about these breakdowns and how different things can happen. I hear a lot of people talk about trust and, what they can and cannot do with trust. And one of the most important things I can say to folks is make sure that you sit down with a licensed professional who can walk you through the process and make sure that you understand that mixing, your business with a trust is an entity. Your business is an entity. So you have to know the distinctions and how they connect, but you also have to be mindful of tax consequences. So if you decide to do certain types of documents, a lot of people are like, just do everything, put everything in the trust. Right. But you have to be mindful of there may be tax consequences. Yes. Also, we need to think about things like liability. When people are setting up their plans, a lot of times they don't consider there is liability attached to our decision making. And so when you make decisions to just fill out forms, everybody loves to fill out a form. It's free online, but you make decisions to fill out the form. The IRS doesn't care that you filled out that form online. The state registration doesn't care about your little fill out form online because they're not responsible. They're telling you, seek out legal counsel, get legal help. Your financial advisor is not going to be able to help you out of the jam. Your accountant is not going to be able to help you. Your attorney is not going to be able to get you out of a jam that you just dipped yourself in completely. So you have to make sure all of these strategies that we're talking about and these resources that you are prepared to address liabilities, risk, legal issues, all of the things that are in between.
Absolutely. Right? Yes. So it's a lot, Sandy. These are all the things that I think a lot of times people ignore. But if you do it right, it's a lot. That's why we say it's a lot more to it than just forming an LLC, paying $140 online, and then saying, "Oh, I have a business." It's a lot more to it.
Yeah, it's literally not just I open a business. Like you really have to do some little legwork in between. I also want to touch on, the business is you. And you are passing it on, right? Because a lot of us start these LLCs or other entities, and we are the only manpower of the business. So you have to really consider some different circumstances. Lisa talked earlier about life insurance and the different things that can be done there. Well, if you are the only person running your business, life insurance ain't the only thing you need to think about. You may need to think about having some kind of disability insurance, right? Because if you're not able to operate the business, there has to be some money coming in that's going to take care of the day-to-day expenses and operations, maybe to pay somebody in the interim to handle the operations, maybe having someone in position in the event that something happens where they can easily access your information. That's where the standard operating procedures come into play. There's just so many different things that need to be done. And if you're not thinking about these issues, you put yourself in a very, very crazy position.
That's so true. Those are some really, really good points. So I hope everybody is listening and getting something out of this conversation tonight. It certainly is enough to make you think about, are you satisfied with where your business is in terms of business succession planning?
Now, to kind of round about our conversation about succession planning, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what are the different things that can happen that would create an issue here, right? Because if we're talking about a succession plan, we're talking about transition, we're talking about strategy, we're talking about continuing a smooth operation. Well, let's talk about some of the scenarios. The very first that comes to mind is death. When someone passes away, I will say that that is often the fastest way to completely dismantle a business. Completely. Like nothing further happens. Nobody is there to take, the torch. Nobody is there to continue the work. And basically, that is the immediate loss of not only wealth, but legacy. Completely.
It's over. Yeah.
It's over. And I can't count how many times, in a probate, Lisa and I both do probate work. I can't count how many times in a probate somebody has a business. Nobody in the family is going to continue the operation. It just shuts down.
It's true.
That's it. And I can say the same thing with real estate. A lot of folks are out here, real estate investors. That's your business. Well, guess what? If something happens to you and you pass away, you got a lot of real estate sitting there, right? What's your plan for that? Have you established what's going to happen to those different parcels of real estate and who that's going to go to? Again, succession plan. If I'm a real estate investor and real estate is the commodity that I have, well, what's going to happen to that real estate? And how do I make that decision of what's the best avenue for that? Because what you don't want is for everything to be passing on to somebody and give them a windfall of money and create a ridiculous tax consequence for that person, right? So you got to think in terms of, the business is an entity itself, but the business as an entity can impact you, and it also can impact the people that you are planning to pass things on to, right? You don't want people to have, a ridiculous tax burden because you didn't set up a proper plan of how they were going to receive something so valuable, right? You don't want things to be sold and next thing you know, they're getting proceeds from the sale of a business. That's a lot of money that can potentially come into hands.
Right. Granted, before you have to pay estate taxes, federal estate taxes, you have to really, really make a lot of money with your estate, but still it can happen. And then you could be in a lot of trouble if you're not careful, especially when you're talking about business and business assets and interests. They can add up pretty fast.
And I'm going to throw something into the pot. I deal with guardianship. There's a lot of issues that pop up with guardianship. What happens if your business is to go to someone who is incapacitated, who can't make medical or financial decisions for themselves? That's a problem, right? So now you're going to have a situation where there's probably going to be a guardian, whether court appointed, that is non-related, or somebody that is related and court appointed. Are they going to be able to continue that business operation? Have you set up the business to be successful enough that it can operate without you?
Right.
That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about business succession planning. Is there going to be a smooth transition from you being the sole operator to someone else, or from you being the manager or CEO of an operation? Is it going to transition well if somebody else has to step into that role? Is your staff going to respond to that well? Is your team, your accountant, your financial advisor, your attorney, are they going to respond well to that? Those are all considerations. And we always say to you guys, your business, it can survive without you, but there's a lot that you have to do to get to that point.
Absolutely. So when you're planning doing your own life planning, and you're thinking about your personal affairs and making plans for what happens with your personal legacy, don't forget there's a business out there that you're running, and it needs some planning too. For, if you, like Sandy said, it doesn't have to always be death. It could be incapacity. So think about that and think about the planning. And if you need assistance with those kind of things, we are attorneys by day, and we can help you with some of these issues in estate planning. So don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us.
Absolutely. And just to talk a little bit about some of the services that are available to you through LearnBiz LLC, as well as here at LearnBiz The Podcast. I want to remind you again, we have our LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal. It is now available on Amazon. But you will note when you do purchase this journal, you are purchasing an opportunity in order to engage with us in this journaling process. So we don't leave you hanging. You just buy the journal and then we're like, all right, they bought the journal back. No,
we don't do that.
We don't leave you hanging. We still have plenty of resources here on LearnBiz The Podcast where you can identify probably somebody in the mix that will give you some guidance about a particular industry. Many of our guests have been in business for many years or started a business and really had some great success. So we share that information, and it's an opportunity for you to learn from others. But also through our business journaling group, next session is happening March 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's a Monday night. We're going to be talking about our journal entries. And if you missed the last session and you're interested in being a part of this group, please don't hesitate to message us. We'll get the information to you. But know that journaling is a great way for you to start working on the foundational things that we've spoken about tonight.
True.
You know, tonight we talked about what? State registration.
Yep.
We talked about the operating documents. We talked about operating procedures. We talked about the business plan. And then we ended the conversation with the meat, which is business succession planning. And all of these things require daily steps. That's why we have this journal. It helps us organize our thoughts on a daily basis to make sure that we are taking advantage of every single thing that we can in our day-to-day life so that we can make sure that we have a sustainable and scalable business. So I just wanted to throw in that plug because you know what we're talking about tonight, creating a legacy through entrepreneurship.
I love it. I love it. Well, this is true love, because when someone's talking to you about this, you know that they want to see you make a really good plan. And we're in this space because we really do care about entrepreneurs. We've had a hard knock or two, and we don't want you guys to go through everything we've been through.
Right. We've definitely gone through some episodes. So I think we are at the point now where we can start to wind down and do some closing thoughts about this topic. I think we've hit you with a lot of things that you can kind of check off on your list and say, all right, I may not have this done yet, but here's what I'm going to do to get this done. So I want you guys to, I encourage you to go back, listen to the replay, you know, get your notes out, come up with some different things that you can identify for yourself as your to-do list, and make sure that you have a plan for this year, checking these things off your list. Most of us are at the foundation, right? We did our state registration. Most of us may have some type of operating paperwork in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just a skeleton idea, right?
Yeah.
But let's set up a goal, right? It's 2023. We're at the early first quarter still. March is going to close out the first quarter. Make a goal for the first quarter, for the second quarter, third, fourth. Make a goal for the first 6 months, for the last 6 months. Make a goal for the whole year. And find a way so you can kind of itemize all of the things that we talked about tonight and set yourself up for success in 2024.
Absolutely. And don't forget, if you are an LLC and there's some other business formations that this applies to what I'm about to say, don't forget that March is that month that you have to make your annual registrations, at least in the state of Florida. And so that's something that we definitely want to think about if you've already formed a business. The other thing is, as far as this topic is concerned, it's a great topic. And that's why I love the LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, because even while you're thinking about these things, you can begin to write down these things that you need to work on and learn, things you need to learn more about in business, things, you know, how you're going to basically achieve and how you're going to grow and become a better business. So that's what this is all about. You're not going to be able to grasp everything possibly overnight, but that's why we make plans for growth. So definitely start with things like, if you have a business, start with, when I leave Earth, what do I want to happen to my business? Do I want the business to fold and be sold? Do I just want it to be dissolved legally and just go away? Or do I want that business to survive in some way and benefit and bless others? So that's what it starts with. And definitely consult an attorney. And once you get this type of planning done and get it out of the way, you just keep on living and enjoying life. But you just don't want to ignore this part, because we've seen too many tragic endings and heard about too many sad endings in business because people thought that they had time to do this, when you don't know when time runs out. That's why you have to do this early and often.
Absolutely. And shout out to Rigoberto. He's always here to show us some love and some support.
Thank you, Roberto.
Definitely appreciate you always for tuning in. Now, if you are just tuning in, because sometimes people hop on and off, I just want to remind you tonight's session is about creating a legacy through entrepreneurship. We're talking business succession planning basics. We've had a complete conversation at this point about all of these issues that you need to be aware of, whether it be business registration, whether it be operating documents, standard operating procedures, your business plan, and then ultimately creating a succession plan, figuring out strategically who is going to take over your business without interruption, right? Making sure that the transition is smooth so that no matter what happens to you, illness, death, incapacity, any number of things in between. Maybe you decide to sell the business. Maybe you decide to transition from being a business owner to, maybe working in the business and somebody else is going to take over. What does that look like? And how can you make it seamless? That's our conversation tonight.
Yes.
If you missed it, please rewind. We're going to try to end right on time at 8:00. I'm going to put up this last little note here. Your business can survive without you, but you just have to put some things in place. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is LearnBiz, the podcast. Please click the subscribe button. Please click the like button. Know that we have some merch. So if you're interested in any of it, stay tuned. We always have some things ready for you. And also, we appreciate you for supporting LearnBiz LLC. That's what this program is brought to you by. It's our favorite portion, which is helping you learn, build, and grow a sustainable business. And we hope that you enjoyed this program. Please leave us some feedback in the chat. Please don't hesitate to send us an email or DM us on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn at B is for BIZ.
Thank you, Miss Sandy B. And guys, just one more thing I just want to add on. Don't forget to follow us. We've said it, but don't forget to follow us on Tuesday morning at 7:45 on YouTube, also broadcasting to LinkedIn and Facebook. We're on every single week, and you can interact with us in real time and talk with us. And we comment on the things you guys mention all the time.
Absolutely. Love it, guys. So hope you have a great night. Again, thank you so much. Don't hesitate to comment on this. And I hope you enjoyed creating a legacy through entrepreneurship. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.